Do you ever feel like the best Madden players in the world are hiding something from you? Like if you just knew a few of the things they did, you too would be on their level? Well, today I'm gonna show you the 7 secrets that pro players use literally every game that almost nobody knows about. And as usual, my name's Swolosimo and I've made thousands of dollars competing and coached hundreds of players. So you know everything in this video is legit. Starting off with secret tip number 1, user pressing, which is easily one of the most effective ways to slow down specific receivers and routes on the fly. Now, to perform the user press, there's a couple things you gotta do pre-snap, and it's basically only one thing. You need to man yourself up to anyone on the field. So I'm on Darius Slay here. I'm gonna press X or A, and then I'm gonna press up on the right stick, and I'm gonna man myself up to someone. So I'm just gonna man myself up to the receiver that we're pressing in this case. So that's Khalil Shakir. And he's going on a corner route, and what you're gonna notice is when I press this X button, it's going to initiate the press animation, and we're gonna completely cage this route. Like there's nothing they could do to go and throw that route. So all you have to do is press the X button to perform the user press. Now it's not just corner routes, you can completely take away by simply pressing the X button. And user pressing, you can actually take away crossing routes and a bunch of other routes as well. So for example, this is the very prevalent like PA crossers type of style play, and you may want to press the deep crossing route, which is their main read. So when they snap the ball, you're going to press X and you're going to press that guy into the dirt, and you take away their main read and they're likely going to take a sack. So you definitely want to be user pressing as much as you possibly can. Secret number 2 is the QB juke burst that gives your quarterback a massive boost in speed when leaving the pocket. Now to perform the QB juke move, it's actually really easy, but it's important to note that you need to have the right person at quarterback. Basically, whether you're in MUT, regs, whatever game mode you're in, you need someone with at least 85 juke move or JKM. And that'll just make sure that you get the proper burst when you perform the move. So to do it, it's actually really easy. You can pay attention to my controller. All I'm going to do is initiate a sprint to my throwing hand side. So to the right if you have a right-hand quarterback, to the left if you have a left-handed quarterback. And then what I'm going to do is let go of R2 after I've initiated the juke and taken about a step and flick the right stick to the right because I have a right-handed quarterback. So let's actually do it all at once. I know it sounds like a lot, but I promise it's really easy. So we're gonna initiate the juke and then boom, we get that little skipping. That little skip pretty much brings our quarterback to full speed instantly. Now I'm gonna run through this a couple times just so you guys can see exactly what it looks like and how to do it. So once again, you sprint out by holding R2 and pushing the left stick in that direction, then letting go of R2, flicking the right stick, and then from there, pressing R2 again, and then you will of course initiate that speed burst, right? So once again, you're gonna see first step, juke, you get that little skip and you can see you're at full speed and you can take it for a very, very big gain. Now there are some really cool use cases that you can use here that I really like. Now, let's say they're giving up the middle and containing. So they're doing everything they can to stop you from doing the juke burst to the side. Well, that is actually a good thing for us because you can actually juke to the inside and get the burst. So take a look here. I want to go through this gap, juke inside, and you can see you get that nice burst. It really doesn't matter as long as you have that 85 juke move, you can juke to the outside and you can juke to the inside. So I highly recommend you use this burst if you have the right quarterback, or if you're in MUT, you get the right quarterback with 85 juke move. Cam Newton, Jaden Daniels, Justin Fields, Michael Vick, and a few others can do it right now at the time of posting this video. Now everybody knows about shading their defense in man coverage, but did you know you could shade or route commit a single player if you wanted to, effectively allowing you to cage any player in man coverage without breaking your entire defense. Now to actually perform this technique and individually shade or route commit, what you're gonna do is press triangle or Y, then X or A, the receiver you want to individually shade. So let's say we've been getting beat with a post route. We've just been getting cooked by this post route from Garrett Wilson. What you could do is press triangle or Y, X or A, the receiver icon, and shade to the inside. And that'll just do a better job at stopping this post route. But you can see Garrett Wilson still kind of beat us on that. So what do we do then? Well, that's when you can actually go to the individual route commit, which is much stronger and a little bit more high risk. And it's basically the same as the individual shade, but you're doing it with the left stick instead of the right stick. So what we're going to do here is press triangle or Y, X or A, square receiver, and then we're going to route commit inside by flicking the left stick to the right. So that's the inside for a left side corner, okay? And what you're gonna see is when they go to try to run this post again, the post is actually completely bagged. If I go to try to throw this, you can see our DB is right there. Granted, we did get aggressive caught on, but our DB was all over that. So that's a really easy way you can take away pretty much any route on the field without breaking your entire defense. Now, what you've all been waiting for, the secret to speed bursting, which is the toxic technique that competitive players have been spamming online. Now, to perform this crazy speed burst, all we need to do is hold R2 when we get the ball and then wiggle the left stick in the direction we want to burst towards. So here we are, and then boom. You see, I just wiggled it kind of outward and I got a nice burst to the outside. It's actually insane. So now let's go to the left. All we're going to do is hold R2 when we get the ball and then wiggle that left stick in the direction we want to burst towards. You can see, boom. You see that crazy burst I just got? That just allows you to hit that outside lane super, super fast. Let's do it one more time to the right and you can see it's actually pretty insane. So all we're going to do is hold R2 when we get the ball and then wiggle in the direction that we want to burst towards. So here we are, and then wiggle, boom. You can see I got the burst there, but I did end up getting tackled. Now that's how you do it out of I-form runs. Let's get into shotgun runs now. Now the best shotgun runs to use for this are once again outside runs. So this is an outside zone, and it's basically the same concept. You're gonna hold R2 when you get the ball, and then wiggle in the direction you wanna burst towards. Here we are, and then boom. You can see we got a nice little burst, and just like that, if you have someone fast like Jahmyr Gibbs, you could be gone. So in general, for shotgun runs, it's the same as under center runs, but you just want to be a little bit more careful on how you burst. So once again, let's do it again. We'll do it to the right this time. We're going to hold R2, and then we're going to wiggle in the direction we want to burst. So here, and then boom. You see we got a little bit of a burst there. We just outrun pretty much everyone, make a juke, and we're pretty much gone, right? So that's how you do the burst from shotgun runs. Now, if you have a deep darkness in your soul and you want to cheese your opponent and maybe you just hate him or maybe you just love speed bursting, the HB direct snap in the Bears playbook in the gun Y-off trips formation is the play to do it out of. To speed burst out of this play, you have to be a little bit more attentive. You want to push in the direction of where the ball is going and then speed burst out. You can see, just got the speed burst there, make one man miss, and we can get a gigantic gain. It is by far the best way to speed burst. So let's do it one more time. Let's point in the direction where the run is going. And then on this, make sure you're holding R2 and then flick in the direction you want to burst. So right there, we did get the burst, but we did get hawked down. It's not as good to the left as it is the right, but you guys can see that when you get that burst, it is very difficult for it not to be a touchdown. So let's point it in the direction we need to go. So diagonal and up, you can see where my left stick is going. And then on the snap, let's roll it to this way. And you can see we got the burst. Someone holds their block. And just like that, we're probably going to be gone in many cases. So if you want to run the HB direct snap and speed burst, that's just a recipe for disaster for your opponents. It's super cheesy and it's super effective. So that's one way you could speed burst as well. Now, another toxic way to use the speed burst is out of QB runs like QB zone and QB strong power. Now, the way to use this one is very different from everything else. You have to let your quarterback run for the first couple seconds and then take over and press R2. So I just let him, I do nothing, and then I take over and press R2 and really get that burst. You can see how I'm moving, it's super fast, get to the sideline and get that big gain. Now, something that's important to note is this is not as good opposite your quarterback's throwing hand. So to the left, it is not as good. You can see, I'm gonna try to burst. Right there, I kind of got a burst and it actually was still pretty good, but comparatively, it is much better to the right side of the field. But in general, you want to be running this to the wide side of the field, basically like all of the other ones. So you can see, I'm going to run it to the wide side, let him run for a second, and then boom, get that burst. You can see this insane burst I got. No one can catch me now. Justin Fields is gone as I get caught. But you can see you're getting this insane burst from QB zone. It's really effective, and it's almost as effective as the HB direct snap. So this is another toxic way you can use the speed burst. Before we get into the last 3 secrets, and trust me, you can't afford to miss them, I need to show you the resource that top players are using to stay months ahead of everyone else. And that resource is victoryformation.gg, currently home to 5 complete game plans and 40 plus elite tips, like manipulating flat zones for easy dots and freezing inside thirds for 1-play touchdowns. Tips you can't get anywhere else. Now, our members are consistently dominating online, crushing their league competition, and even winning hundreds of dollars in tournaments. So if you're ready to join the winning team, you can get your first month for only $11.95 using code SWOLO. This next secret will single-handedly win you games against man coverage spammers, and we're just gonna call it pass lead small streaks, where if you use the pass lead small settings, it allows you to place streaks where only your receiver can get it. Now to perform this technique, it's actually really simple. You're just gonna wanna put a streak on one of your receivers that are close to your quarterback, like a tight end, a slot, a solo slot, just not an outside receiver, right? Just too far, the ball's in the air too long. And all we're gonna do is as soon as the cornerback turns his hips, we're gonna pass lead down and outside. Now that's because he's shaded inside, so opposite of where they're shaded. So in this case, pass lead down and outside, rack catch it, and you can see it's an easy rack and an easy dot, right? Let's do it a couple times just so you guys can see it. We're in the red zone here. We could still do it in the red zone. You can actually throw it more earlier than you'd think. They're still gonna be shaded inside, and we're gonna do it to R1. Once again, you're gonna see, wait, pass lead down and outside, rack catch or possession catch it, and it's an easy dot against man coverage. So that's what you do when they're shaded inside. Now versus shaded outside, we're gonna do basically the exact same thing in pass leading away from the shade. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pass lead this route down and inside. I like to aggressive catch it just to make sure that we get the ball, but that's basically it. You're pass leading away from the shade, pass leading inside against shaded outside, and pass leading outside against shaded inside. So just away from the shading. Now when it comes to pass protection, the secret is untargeting the opponent's user to legitimately block everything. Now to untarget someone's user, you first have to identify who their user is. Now you don't need the identifier ability. In many blitzes and in many cases, you can tell just by who they're moving. So if someone's running a loop blitz, they're moving this guy over, which means this is their user, and they're gonna try to mug the gap usually. So all you need to do is flick up on the right stick and untarget him. So that switches the fire icon from the user, meaning the user can come in instead of the blitzer. So now when we run this play, you can see everything is accounted for. We could step up in the pocket and beat the loop blitz. Now, if we were playing, let's say a heavier blitz, let's say they were in mid blitz and they were using the safety, well, it's really obvious when they're using the safety because they're coming down into the box like this. So against something that's heavy like this, you want to block your running back. But as you can see, the fire icon, meaning he's going to come in, is on the defensive end or the outside linebacker on the right of screen. So we want to untarget this safety, and what you're going to see is there's no more fire icon. Everyone is accounted for, and now we should have time to throw really whatever pass that we want. In this case, we just threw a nice post route and Evan Engram dropped it. But nonetheless, you can see we're given the time and we're picking up the blitzes because of the untarget mechanic. This last secret, pros use legit every game, and it's called the user lock, which allows you to lock your user in place while still holding the left stick in any direction, allowing you to jump the snap for sacks, engage with blockers to get your blitz in, or get out in coverage. Now there's two techniques to user lock. The first one is really simple, and it's just opening the D-line stump menu by pressing left on the D-pad and the right bumper. And as you can see, I'm able to move my left stick all around and my user doesn't move. Then you can also press up on the D-pad and do the same thing. That's the second technique, to open the substitution menu. Now there's a few ways to utilize the user lock technique. Now I talked about it before, you can user rush, you can engage with the line, and then on top of that, you could also, if you'd like, get back in coverage. So let's start with technique number one, or rather use case number one for the user lock. And that's just user rushing. So in many blitzes, you can actually just come in free with your user and go and sack the quarterback. So that's just a double mug user rush that works, right? Now that's one way to use it. Now the other way to use it, so let's say they weren't in, an empty protection where a lot of user rushes actually come in. Let's say they were in base protection. Well, what you can actually do is you can engage with the line. So in this case, I'm gonna try to engage with this left guard or this center, and this will usually help a blitz come in. Now right there, the blitz didn't actually come in, but the goal there is to engage with the line. Let's do it one more time. Let's engage with a proper player. Let's do it on the right of screen this time, okay? So what you're gonna see is I'm going to engage with this right guard, and what's gonna happen, I'm gonna spread my D-line, what's gonna happen is it's gonna let that other defensive end in. As you can see, there comes that defensive end, he comes in completely clean, and we get the safety. Now the last use case of the user lock is super simple, and it's just getting out in coverage. So let's say they're gonna run a table route on us here. We wanna get to that table route while we're blitzing. So I'm gonna user lock, and I'm just gonna push the left stick in the direction of the route I'm expecting. maybe I hold R2 as well, and we're gonna go and sprint and get to that route while our blitz comes in. So that's how to user lock, and those are all the ways I like to use the user lock in. If you made it this far, you're officially ahead of 99% of Madden players. But don't stop there. If you really want to start dominating, click the video on the left to master the best defenses in Madden 26, or hit the video on the right to learn a complete offense that can't be stopped.